Welcome to the deep dive. You've brought us a fascinating topic today, the global hybrid electric vehicle market, or HEVs, as we'll probably call them.
Right, HEVs.
Our source for this deep dive, it's an in-depth report from Cognitive Market Research, and it lays out growth and revenue forecasts all the way through 2033.
Yeah, quite a long view.
So our mission is really to go beyond just the raw numbers, to sort of unpack what they really reveal about the future of transport and, why these vehicles are becoming such a big deal. Okay, let's dig in.
Indeed. And what's truly fascinating here isn't just the sheer financial growth these projections show, it's how they really paint a clear picture of a massive ongoing shift in our whole automotive landscape. It feels like a real systemic change.
Okay, so let's maybe zoom out for a second just to grasp the overall scale. What kind of global growth are we actually looking at for HEVs? Give us the big picture first.
Okay, the big picture. So the global hybrid electric vehicles market, it generated just over $100 billion, about 103.9 billion, let's say, in revenue back in 2021.
Right, 100 billion.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, this figure isn't just expected to climb, it's projected to surge. We're looking at roughly $155 billion by 2025.
Okay, a big jump quite quickly.
Yeah, and then it keeps going. It's projected to more than triple its 2021 value, reaching an impressive $348 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That represents a really robust compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, averaging around 10.6% over this whole period.
More than tripling in just over a decade. That's incredible. And it really begs the question, right? Is this growth happening like evenly across the globe?
Well, not really.
Or are some regions really hitting the accelerator while others are maybe taking a slower lane? This is where it gets really interesting. How does it break down geographically?
Yeah, that raises a really important point about the regional dynamics, because it's certainly not uniform, not at all. Each continent and even, individual countries, they're contributing to this momentum in their own unique ways. Often reflects specific market conditions or policy pushes.
Makes sense.
So take Asia Pacific, for instance. This region already dominated the market back in 2021. It accounted for over $42 billion then.
42 billion. Okay, so already leading.
Exactly. And is projected to continue leading the charge, soaring to over $153 billion by 2033. And crucially, it posts the highest regional CAGR, a little over 11%, 11.245% to be precise.
That's a massive leap. When we talk Asia Pacific, which specific countries are really driving that remarkable growth? Is it mostly like a couple of giants or more spread out?
It's a bit of a mix, but definitely led by a couple of giants. China, for example.
Right.
China's projected to nearly quadruple its 2021 revenue. This is just over $17 billion then, expected to hit almost $65 billion by 2033. That's with an impressive annual growth rate over 11.5%.
Wow.
And India is another really significant player, expected to more than triple its 2021 revenue of just over $7 billion to over $27 billion by 2033. And its growth rate is even slightly higher, around 11.8%. The report also points to substantial contributions from, established markets like Japan and South Korea, but also some really remarkable emerging opportunities in Southeast Asia, parts of Australia, Taiwan. Many of those are showing KGRs above 12%. It suggests that as economies develop and environmental awareness grows, HEVs just become a natural fit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's shift gears then. Let's cross the Pacific to North America. What do the numbers reveal about HEV adoption there? What trends stand out in the U.S., Canada, Mexico?
Right, North America. So
Yeah.
their market generated roughly $21.5 billion back in 2021.
Okay.
And it's projected to climb to over $73.5 billion by 2033. That gives it an annual growth rate of nearly 10.8%. So still very strong.
Pretty close to the global average.
Yeah, very close. The United States, well, as you'd probably expect, leads the region in just sheer revenue volume, projected to reach over $47.5 billion by 2033, up from about $14.6 billion in 2021.
Okay.
But here's what's kind of fascinating. While the U.S. is the largest market by far, Canada and Mexico are actually showing even higher growth rates.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Canada's growing at nearly 11.5% annually, and Mexico is actually leading the pack in the region, rate-wise, at over 12%. It goes from just under $3 billion in 2021 to almost $11 billion by 2033.
So why is that? Any thoughts?
Well, it suggests that while the U.S. market is large and maybe more mature in some ways, its neighbors are rapidly catching up. Possibly, like you said, due to maybe lower initial market penetration, meaning more room to grow quickly, and perhaps increasingly favorable policies kicking in there too.
Got it. Okay. And Europe. Europe's often seen as being at the forefront, with environmental initiatives, strict emission standards.
Mm.
How are they contributing to this global HEV surge? Are they keeping pace?
Europe's market reached over $24 billion in 2021. It's expected to hit over $76 billion by 2033. So that's a CAGR of nearly 10%, just under actually 9.984%.
Okay, so slightly below the global average, but still very strong.
Still very strong, yes.
Yeah.
Germany and the UK are the major contributors in terms of volume. Germany's projected to reach almost $17 billion and the UK over $11 billion by 2033.
Right. The big economies.
Exactly. But if we connect this to the broader trends again, the category labeled Rest of Europe, which includes many smaller, often quite environmentally progressive nations, that group actually stands out. It has the fastest regional growth rate in Europe, over 13% annually.
13%.
Yeah, surging from just under $3 billion in 2021 to over $13 billion in 2033. Denmark, within that subset, also has a notable TAGR over 11%.
So that indicates that while the larger economies are significant by volume, maybe it's the smaller, perhaps more agile markets that are embracing these changes with exceptional speed.
That seems to be the pattern, yeah. They can sometimes implement policies or adapt consumer behavior a bit quicker.
Okay, so we've covered let's say, the major established players. But what about markets that might not immediately spring to mind for HEV growth? Thinking regions like South America, the Middle East, Africa, are they just sort of on the sidelines, or are they poised for their own significant expansion?
Oh, they are definitely poised for significant expansion. They're making a real impact on the global picture,
Yeah.
even if starting from a smaller base. Look at South America. Their HEV market is projected to more than double, from about $7.3 billion in 2021 to over $20 billion by 2033.
Okay, doubling.
And Colombia, specifically, is a real standout there, projected to triple its market from just under $1 billion to over $3 billion. That's a high growth rate, over 10%.
And the reasons there? Similar drivers?
Yeah, the report attributes to this surge largely to rising urbanization, which is a big factor in many developing economies, and also evolving environmental policies, similar to what we discussed in parts of Asia.
Right.
The Middle East also shows pretty strong momentum, rising from roughly $5.4 billion in 2021 to over $16 billion by 2033. And Qatar displays an outstanding individual country growth rate, nearly 11.6%.
Interesting.
And then Africa. While starting from a smaller base, around $2.7 billion in 2021, it's definitely on a robust growth trajectory, projected to reach over $8.7 billion by 2033. And several parts of the continent, particularly the rest of Africa category, show AGRs over 10%.
So it really highlights a truly global shift, doesn't it? It's not just confined to the traditional automotive powerhouses in, say, Europe, North America, and East Asia.
Exactly. It's becoming much more widespread.
Okay, so that's a really comprehensive breakdown of the what and the where. But let's get to the why. What does this all really mean? What are the underlying reasons we're seeing such robust growth pretty much across the board? It's clearly not just random numbers. So what are the driving forces behind this transformative shift towards HEVs?
Yeah, this is really the crux of it, isn't it? The report clearly points to a powerful combination of factors working together. Firstly, there are the growing environmental concerns. I mean, that's inescapable. Consumers are increasingly aware of the impact of traditional gasoline cars.
Yeah, you hear about it all the time.
Exactly. And many are actively seeking more sustainable options, even if maybe they aren't quite ready to leap to a full battery electric vehicle yet. HEVs offer that kind of stepping stone. It ties into a broader global movement towards just reducing carbon footprints.
Okay, so environmental awareness is one. What else?
Secondly, there's the undeniable appeal of better fuel economy. Simple economics, really.
Right. Saving money at the pump.
Precisely. In a world where fuel prices fluctuate and often seem to be high, the ability of HEVs to dramatically reduce how often you need to fill up is a massive draw for everyday drivers. This isn't just about saving money, although that's key. It's about practical, tangible benefits for, daily commuting, long-term running costs.
Makes perfect sense. Environmental concerns, fuel economy. What's the third leg of that stool?
And critically, it's strong government regulations and incentives. They play a really pivotal role.
The policy angle.
Absolutely. We're seeing governments pretty much across the globe, from Asia-Pacific, Europe, North America too, implementing policies that actively encourage HEV adoption. This can range from things like direct purchase subsidies, money off when you buy one, tax breaks, low registration fees.
Making it cheaper to own.
Exactly. Making it cheaper to own than a conventional car. And on the flip side, stricter emission standards that make it less appealing or more expensive for manufacturers to make and for people to buy conventional gasoline cars.
Yeah.
Some cities are even creating like low emission zones that favor greener vehicles.
Right. London, Paris.
Yeah, pushing consumers towards hybrids or electrics if they want to drive downtown.
Yeah.
It's really a multi-pronged approach that effectively creates both a demand and supply ecosystem specifically for HEVs.
So it really sounds like maybe a perfect storm or perhaps a confluence of factors is a better way to put it. You've got
Right.
consumers who are actively looking for efficiency and sustainability.
Mm.
And then you have governments strategically implementing policies that not only accelerate that transition, but also make it economically attractive for people. It seems like a really powerful combination driving this.
It is. Those three factors together create a very strong tailwind for the HEV market.
Well, what an incredible deep dive into the global hybrid electric vehicle market. It seems abundantly clear that HEVs are not just some temporary trend or, a niche product anymore.
Barely not a niche.
They're playing a truly transformative and, it sounds like, increasingly central role in the global automotive landscape. And the outlook for the coming decade looks remarkably promising based on these numbers.
Indeed, from the industrialized nations that are refining their green transportation strategies, all the way to rapidly emerging economies that are seeking efficient and sustainable growth paths. It seems like every region is contributing significantly to the momentum of this profound shift in how we move. It's quite something to watch unfold.
It really is. So, for you, our curious listener, here's maybe a final thought to ponder as we wrap up. As this hybrid technology continues to evolve and integrate, not just in cars, but potentially elsewhere, what other seemingly traditional sectors or maybe everyday technologies might similarly see a kind of hybrid revolution? Finding clever ways to balance, existing infrastructure and methods with new, more sustainable and efficient approaches. Something to think about.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the really fascinating world of hybrid electric vehicles, HEVs.
Right.
We've spent some time combing through excerpts from a market report. It's titled Hybrid Electric Vehicle Market, Driving Forces and Future Trends.
It's a dense topic, lots to unpack.
Exactly. So our mission here is to really, unpack what's pushing the HEV market forward, maybe hit on some of those speed bumps, slowing things down a bit,
Challenges.
and then look at the trends, see where it's all heading. It feels incredibly relevant right now, doesn't it?
Absolutely. With environmental rules getting tighter, fuel prices, well, they're all over the place.
And just this general demand for cleaner, more efficient ways to get around.
And HEVs are right in the middle of that conversation.
Yeah, these machines that cleverly mix, a regular engine with electric motors. It helps cut down fuel use, cuts emissions.
Makes them a pretty attractive option for people thinking about their environmental impact, for sure.
So let's kick things off. What are the big tailwinds? What's really pushing these hybrid vehicles forward now? It feels like they've suddenly hit their stride.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of that initial push, it really comes down to government action, actually, all around the world.
Okay.
We're seeing this big drive for sustainability. And that means actual incentives. Things like tax credits, sometimes direct subsidies when you buy one.
Right, making it cheaper up front.
Exactly.
Right.
Designed deliberately to make you, the consumer, think, okay, maybe I don't need that purely gasoline car.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond just the money, there are these powerful regulations. Think Euro 6 standards in Europe
Yeah.
or CAFE norms in the US.
Like the fuel economy standard.
Yeah, and even things like zero emission zones popping up in big cities. These aren't just like suggestions.
No, I have teeth.
They really do. They basically force car makers to build more hybrids, integrate that tech, and it helps the automakers too. It helps them avoid big fines.
So it's kind of a win-win, you're saying.
Mhm.
Governments push, consumers get incentives, automakers avoid penalties.
In many ways, yeah. It creates this environment where hybrids make a lot of sense.
But is there a catch? I mean, the report doesn't suggest this creates a sort of dependency, does it?
Yeah.
Where the market only works because of the subsidies.
That's a really good point. The report doesn't explicitly warn about, say, long-term dependency, but it does imply that, for sustained growth, it's got to be more than just subsidies.
Okay, so what else then?
Technology, that's the other huge piece, the continuous innovation.
Ah, right. The actual car is getting better.
Massively better. We're talking big jumps in lithium-ion battery efficiency, regenerative braking systems that are, frankly, much smarter now, capturing way more energy.
Energy that used to just be lost as heat, yeah.
Exactly. And the software managing it, all the energy management, it's incredibly sophisticated now.
So it's not just about saving fuel.
Not at all. These improvements, they actually boost performance, extend the driving range you get on electricity, and crucially, they are helping to bring down manufacturing costs over time.
Which helps with that initial price hurdle we talked about.
It does, gradually. And what's also insightful is how this tech leap means hybrids aren't just for small eco cars anymore.
Right, you see them everywhere now.
Exactly. Entry-level compacts, sure, but also premium SUVs, even commercial vans. The tech's versatile enough now.
Okay, so you got this strong policy push, these really impressive tech breakthroughs. You'd think it's all smooth sailing for HEVs.
You would think so.
But there are always bumps in the road, right? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
What are some of the hurdles? The things slowing down wider adoption.
You're absolutely right. There are definitely speed bumps. Probably the biggest one for a lot of people is still that higher initial purchase cost.
Compared to a standard gasoline car.
Right. It's just, well, it's fundamentally more complex, isn't it? You need that traditional engine and the electric motor, battery control systems.
Two powertrains in one car.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And integrating that smoothly, making it reliable, that adds cost. It's a different kind of cost challenge than, say, a pure EV faces with its big battery.
And that hits harder in some places than others, I imagine.
For sure. In markets where people are really watching the price tag, or where maybe the government subsidies aren't as generous, or maybe even where getting a hybrid service is tricky, that higher price is a major barrier.
Okay, cost is one. What else?
Another thing, and it's maybe overlooked sometimes, is the limited electric-only range on most traditional hybrids.
You mean how far you can go just on the battery?
Exactly. For most HEVs, it's, well, pretty modest. A few miles, maybe, before the gasoline engine has to kick back in.
Right.
And for some buyers, especially those really drawn to the electric experience, that might not be enough.
They might look at a plug-in hybrid or a full EV instead.
Precisely. As charging stations become more common and EV battery costs continue to fall, you could see EVs and PHEVs grabbing some of that market share.
That makes sense. Any other big challenges?
Well, there's the complexity aspect again, but this time for maintenance.
Ah, right. Keeping it running.
Yeah. That dual engine setup, it needs specialized know-how, specific diagnostic tools.
Not just any mechanic can handle it easily.
Not necessarily. If you're out in a rural area, maybe a less developed region, finding a workshop that's properly equipped and trained for hybrid service, that might be tough.
That could definitely put someone off buying one. It's not just the sticker price. It's the long-term ownership experience.
It's a real factor, something buyers probably don't always think about up front.
Okay, so those are some significant hurdles. The cost, the limited pure EV range, the maintenance complexities. But despite all that, what does the future look like? Are there trends that suggest HEVs still have robust potential? It sounds like there's still momentum.
Oh, absolutely. There's still a lot of momentum. One really promising trend is just how fast automakers are rolling out more hybrid options.
Across the board.
Pretty much. You know, little city hatchbacks, family sedans, yes, but also rugged SUVs, off-road capable ones, even light commercial trucks and vans.
So more choice.
Way more choice. It means more people can find a hybrid that fits their needs, size, style, performance, without feeling like they're compromising just to get fuel efficiency. That's a huge deal for the market.
Okay, more models. What else is trending?
Something else that's really fascinating is how HEVs are getting smarter. They're being integrated into these smart mobility ecosystems, meaning they come packed with connected tech. Things like telematics, you know, sending vehicle data back for diagnostics or tracking, plus features like eco-driving coaching, real-time monitoring of your energy use, that kind of thing.
Oh, it helps you drive more efficiently.
It can, yeah. But it's more than that. It enhances the whole experience, makes the car feel more like an intelligent device. It fits into this bigger picture of connected transport, maybe even autonomous driving down the line.
So the hybrid becomes part of a network almost.
In a way, yes. It's not just about getting from A to B efficiently anymore.
Interesting. Anything else on the horizon?
Yeah, one final trend is the growing acceptance of different types of hybrid systems.
It's not just one kind of hybrid.
No, we're seeing wider adoption of mild hybrids. They often use smaller 48-volt battery systems. They give a boost, help efficiency, but maybe don't offer that full electric-only driving.
Okay.
And then you have the full hybrids, the ones that can switch seamlessly between pure electric, pure gasoline, or a mix.
And the market is embracing both.
Yes, because they suit different needs, different regulations, different price points. Having this range of architectures, it offers more pathways for hybrid tech to be adopted globally. It's not one size fits all.
It really is clear that the HEV market is, well, incredibly dynamic. It's being shaped constantly by innovation, by regulations, and this underlying push for sustainability. It's a real balancing act.
It is. And if we step back for a second, look at the bigger picture of where transportation is heading, it really highlights something important.
Which is?
Well, HEVs seem uniquely positioned to play this really critical transitional role,
Yeah.
bridging the gap as we move towards fully electric mobility, especially as more companies jump in and the tech keeps getting better.
That's a great way to put it, a transitional role. So as you, our listener, maybe think about your next car or just watch how all this unfolds.
Yeah.
Consider that. Think about how these nuanced pros and cons of hybrids balanced against how quickly pure EVs are advancing. How will that influence your choices?
And the pace of that global shift overall.
Exactly. What factors will ultimately decide how long this critical transitional role for hybrids actually lasts? Something to mull over.
Definitely food for thought.
And this deep dive was brought to you by Cognitive Market Research.